I wanted to speak about a famous rabbi of his time, Rabbi David Bar Hen, Zecher Tzadik Libracha. Now, it's his Hilula this month. We're in the month of Elul at the moment. On the 26th of Elul, we'll mark his Hilula, where he passed away 14 years ago. He was actually born in the year 1929, and he passed away on the 24th of September in 2011. We're talking about 14 years ago from the time of recording. He actually came from Moroccan heritage. He was a rabbi of Sderot. This was for, I believe, as many as 40 years, and really represented, was one of the great rabbis of Moroccan Jewry in Israel in his time. Let's explore a few of the highlights of the famous rabbi's life, and I think we mentioned him on a few occasions before inside this series. So we said before that he was born, I believe, actually it was the 6th of Sivan on Shavot in Tafresh Pei Tet. He passed away actually in Jerusalem. I think he would be buried in Har HaMenuchot, if I'm not mistaken. So much can be said within regards to him. There's a lot to cover. Let's explore a few of the highlights of the great rabbi's life over here. Okay, which is very, very interesting. Okay, so he was born, I think, as we said before, on the festival of Shavuot in Morocco, and I believe he was close to many, many great rabbis over there, and I think he was very much connected to obviously Rabbi Meir Ochana, and he was appointed, I think there was an area called Verazazat, I believe, respectively, in that specific place, and he came from great rabbis, if I'm not mistaken, had great heritage and links to, especially Rabbi Suleiman Ochana. I think he was a great rabbi from a few hundred years ago, if I'm not mistaken, and very, very interesting. Okay, his father, I believe, passed away in the year 1939, and I think at that stage in time, his mother would send him to Meknes to learn in the yeshiva of Rabbi Raphael Baruch Toledano. I remember Rabbi Raphael Baruch Toledano was a famous rabbi, one of the famous Moroccan rabbis, definitely about 80 years ago, 100 years ago, without a doubt. He would learn in Yeshivat Otzar Torah. Now, we actually spoke about Otzar Torah network of schools on various occasions before. In this series, we actually dedicated an entire video with regards to history. I think at that point in time, that was headed by Rabbi Raphael Abo. I remember we spoke about him also. And afterwards, he would learn in Yeshivat or Yosef, or as we say, Novhardok. This was, I believe, in Foblian in France. So he'd actually moved to France afterwards, another permanent position. I think at that point in time, Rabbi Gershon Libman was a rabbi over there. Now, we've spoken about this issue before. I think we had in this channel recorded with a great Israeli rabbi of current here who actually learned, I think, in the same place, if I'm not mistaken. He would be working within regards to educating children, within regards to Torah, respectively, and was very much, I think, helping also within regards to encouraging Aliyah. At that point in time, people were moving to Eretz Yisrael, especially from the Yeshivat Navahardok, making sure there was a strong Torah connection. Now, come with the year 1950, at that stage in time, I believe he would be about 29 years of age, 28 years of age, he would make Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael. And I think at that point in time, he made a close connection with Rabbi Yosef Shlomo Kahanaman. We spoke about him. He was, I think, one of the great rabbis of Bnei Brak, and he would learn in the Yeshivat Ponevezh at that stage in time. Rabbi Yeshivat Ponevezh was, let's say, the bastion of the Lithuanian yeshivot. It is in Israel, without a doubt, a place that we've spoken about on various occasions before. So that would obviously excel his brilliance in Torah study. In 1955, he would go back to Morocco at that point in time, and he'd become a ram in the Shivat Etz Chaim in Tangier. This is a prominent position, and I think he was close at that point in time with various other rabbanim, including Rab Zusha Vatna, I think, and Rabbi Yisachar Meir, who was also, I think, learning Ponevezh, if I'm not mistaken. Come on, 1956, he would get married to his wife, Ruth, Rabbanit Ruth. She was the daughter of Rabbi David Ovadia. I believe he was a Rosh Abedin, head of Jewish court in Safra, Marrakesh, and in Fez, respectively, and was very much in charge of the chinuch, the education for the Jewish community in Morocco. It will be, I think, at the end he would be have various different Abedin roles, head of Jewish court roles, respectively, in various different. I think in the Bedin in Jerusalem, the Moatzot Hadatit in Jerusalem, and he was part of the Chaver Lishkat Harabanot Shas, if I'm not mistaken. Very, very interesting now. After that, it was a shortish period he'll be over there. I think he would actually moved to Safro, would head a kollel there, if I'm not mistaken. Eventually he would move to Rabat also, and to be appointed there as a head of a Beit Midrash for the great Rabbanim. I think it was connected to Rabbi Shaul ibn Danan, this kollel was, if I'm not mistaken, who was, I think, a chief rabbi of Morocco in that day. And it's interesting, Rabbi Bar Hen would then, I think, make many people close. I mean, to Torah in of itself. He had a relationship with the great Rabbi Ibn Danan, also respectively, which was also very, very important, let's just say, in of itself. Okay, so let's explore more within regards about him. I think after that, so obviously he would, then he would go back to Israel, I think. Come on, 1964, he'll be appointed to become the rabbi of the neighborhood, the Shechona, Gimel of Rab. I think a specific neighborhood, I think it might have been around the Ashdod area, respectively. So remember, I think he was about 9 years in Morocco, if I'm not mistaken, beforehand, but I have to double check on that. 1972, he will be appointed the chief rabbi of Sderot, very prominent position, a very great place in Israel, also Sderot is. Now, I think he passed away, I think we said before, it was around the year 2011, it was. So he would have various different important roles, let's just say, in the rabbinic community, and he would be, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was one of the rabbis of the, let's say, the neighborhood in Gush Katif, respectively, and then I think his son, he has a son, Rabbi Yishai Bar Hen, would be appointed the Rabbi of Gush Katif. Obviously a very great place, and we obviously really hope that we'll resettle Gush Katif at a later stage in time. You know, it's a very important part of Am Yisrael, this is, so it's very interesting. We actually spoke about various rabbis, let's just say, from the bar that were close to Rabbi Bar Hen already inside this series, so I'd recommend everyone to look back at those videos that we recorded within regards to him also here inside the series. Now, I believe he passed away, it was on the 26th of Elul, as we said before. He passed away on that specific date, and so it's Hilula this month, and I think he was buried in part of the rabbinic section of Har Menachot in Jerusalem. Like, he wrote a book, I think, on Halakha and Agada, respectively. I don't know if it was printed or not, if it was in manuscript form. That's very interesting. He left very, very great descendants also. I think his grandson, I think, or if I'm not mistaken, Heitav Shin Ayin Bet, established, I think, if I'm not mistaken, maybe it was Khatan of his son, Rav Raphael. He would, I think his name was Rav Itzik Sandro, there's Yeshivat Chayalei Beit David, and I think maybe named after him, I think in Yishuv Mitzvah Yitzhar, respectively. I think also one of his grandsons, Rabbi Eliyahu Bar Hen, this was in Heitav Shin Ayin Vav, would actually print, I think, the book Chasdei David, book on the Shas, respectively, and it would come out through the Machon Chasdei David, respectively. And I think there is different writings of the Toldot, let's just say. Bo Katav Mevo Nirchav Al Toldatav Achin Hevi Mechodeshei Torato. That's actually written by him. I think in Heitav Shin Ayin Chet, it was opened, his son would open, Rabbi Yishai Bar Hen, the Beit Midrash Torah David, under his name, I think in the Yishuv Nitzan, respectively. In the city of Sderot, various other things will actually be perpetuated in his name. I think there'll be a Kiryat Rehov under his name in Shechonat Ben Gurion, respectively, over there. And Mikvah Tahara, a special mikvah, I think, for purification, under his name in Shechonat Naot Aviv in Nir Am, also, respectively. So various different importances actually was named after him at later stage. So you can just see how much Am Yisrael really benefited from the great rabbi also. So it's very, very interesting. So I think we mentioned about him on various occasions before inside this series. So I feel very, very important we speak about him also. Let's explore a bit more within regards to him. Importances within regards to what he did. We talked about that the various different let's say yeshivot that was actually named after him. Now, I think there was more we could actually say, if I'm not mistaken. There was also, I think, the Iryat Sderot itself, the municipality of Sderot, would actually name after him the Kiryat Rehov under his name Ben Gurion, as we said before, and the mikveh. This was, I think, connected actually the municipality with the, and there's a big Knesset called Zichron Yitzchak, which actually is called, people would actually Mishkan David, which is under his name. Now, among his family, I think he's Gis, Rabbi Meir Elbaz, he's a great rabbi. He's a Rosh Mostot, Shavut Yehuda in Jerusalem. I believe that's his brother-in-law, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's got another brother-in-law, Giso Harab Pinchas Ovadia, the Rosh Mostot Yismach Lev Torah Moshe Berushalayim. Another great family connection over there. His son, Rabbi Meir Shimon Chaim, is a rabbi of Barcelona. Very interesting man. He's got a son, Rabbi Ariel, I believe, and Rabbi Yishai, his son, Rabbi David Bar Hen, was appointed the rabbi of the Gush Katif, which we spoke about before, and his grandson, Rabbi Eliyahu Bar Hen, is part of the Beit Torah of Yabia Omer and the Rosh Beit Midrash Torat David, respectively. So that's also very, very interesting. So you can see the breadth of rabbis that will actually be perpetuated from him. Let's explore some of his students also, including Rabbi Shlomo Shlush. I think the great rabbinic dynasty of the Shlush family. He became the rabbi of the city of and the head of the Jewish courts of Haifa, respectively. Rabbi Abraham El-Haddad, another great rabbi, Rosh Mostot, was Otzah HaTorah in France, respectively. Another rabbi, Rabbi Sadia Alibi, the rabbi we were spoken about, I think a long time ago actually. It was one of the first videos we actually covered in this series. He became one of the great rabbis of Ashdod. Rabbi Yoram Abargel, most notably, he was one of the famous Kiruv rabbis, definitely without a doubt. In the last 50 years, I think he passed away in the year 2015. He inspired millions of people, Rabbi Yoram Abargel. He would become the Rosh Mostot, the head of the Mostot. Rab Palim Kolrina, we spoke about him also, one of the first maybe 20, 30 videos of biographies of great rabbis. Now, he'd have another great student, Rabbi Bar Hen, Rabbi Aryeh Gamliel, who will become the Rosh Yeshiva of Sderot, respectively. Another one of his Talmid, Rabbi Tzvi Fadidia, was Rosh Mostot Or Gaon. And Rabbi Rafael Al-Karif, Rosh Mostot Nitivot Chaim. This will be actually based in Bnei Brak. Another great rabbi, Rabbi Shlomo Harsha, Rosh Mostot Mishpatim Yesharim, respectively. So you can see the great breadth of Talmudim he also had, which was absolutely phenomenal, which we have to point out also. We could say more about his Talmudim. There's a lot to say with regards to that. Also, among his rabbis, let's just go back to, included Rabbi Raphael Baruch Toledano, who we mentioned that before. He would learn under him in Morocco. Rabbi Raphael Abo, who was head of the Otzah Torah, which we mentioned about before. Rabbi Gershon Libman, who was a rabbi in France, mentioned him before. Rabbi Elazar Menachem Man Shach, another great rabbi. I think he was a rabbi of Ponevezh, I'm not mistaken. Rav Shaul Ibn Danan, we spoke about his great connection with the Ibn Danan family at the beginning, and we spoke about his great family. We said before that his wife's name was Ruth, Rabbanit Ruth, and he was buried in Jerusalem in Har Menachot, I think in the rabbinical plot also, respectively. His father's name was, I believe, Rav Meir Och Nono, I believe that was his name, and his mother's name was Rabbanit Chana. It will be. So we mentioned about the great children he had. Also, it was a Ram of Yeshivat Etzchaim in Tangier. He was Rosh Beit Midrash of Dayanim, of the judges in Rabat in Morocco, and a rabbi of the city Sderot. So very, very prominent positions, friends, and very, very important. But as we said before, his Talmud one of his Talmudim was Rabbi Aryeh Gamliel, who would actually go on to become a Chabrei Knesset. He was, I think, working for the Shas political party between the years 1988 to 2003. It was staggering 15 years his Talmud was, and I think he was even part of Yitzhak Rabin's government, and was a deputy minister in various different governments, let's just say, self-respectively. I would think his Talmud, Rabbi Aryeh Gamliel, was a deputy minister of religious affairs even, I think, between 1996 and 1999. And was a deputy to Rabbi Aryeh Deri of the Shas political party, so had various different important roles over there also, respectively. So I recommend everyone to look more into that. He had many great students. We spoke about some of the great Talmudim he had also, which is actually very, very important actually to point out. And I think I mentioned about many of the videos of the great Talmidim. I recommend everyone to look over the video we recorded about Rabbi Yoram Arbar, we recorded about nearly 3 years ago, actually, here from the time recording. And I think that'll be very important for people to see. And wishing you well, friends. We're a community here. We're learning about great rabbis of yesteryear. Now, if you descend from any of the great chachamim we are speaking about, please don't hesitate. Send me an email now. I would love to hear more information about him. Just note, one of his famous students was also Rabbi Avram El-Haddad. Just speak about him for a minute, because I believe also we did mention him on various occasions before. He only passed away 4 years ago. He was Rabbi of the Rosh Mostot of Torah for 50 years in Sarcelles, in Paris, in France, respectively, and was also a very famous rabbi of his time. I think rabbi we spoke about on various occasions before. And he would actually eventually move to Eretz Yisrael just before he passed away, and was part of the Beit Vegan neighborhood over there in the city of Jerusalem, with a prominent position just before he passed away, and was one of the, let's say, powering houses of the chinuch, of the Jewish education, without a doubt, in his internationally, without a doubt. So that's very interesting. He also, I think, as I said before, had connection with Rabbi Yisachar Meir also. Rabbi Yisachar Meir lived between the years 1927 to 2010. He was a Rosh Yeshiva of Negev and of Netivot, and he was also, let's just say, worked in Morocco at one certain time with him. He was one of the famous Lithuanian Haredi rabbis. Obviously had close connections with Moroccan Jewry and the Moroccan students itself, respectively. I think Rabbi Yisachar Meir would spend a window of time at Casablanca in Morocco and various other places, working and helping yeshiva students in Tangier, in Morocco, and various other important places. So I recommend everyone to look within regards to that. So friends, please subscribe to the channel. We're nearing a staggering 7,500 subscribers. And if you descend from any of the great rabbis we're speaking about, please send me an email. I would love to hear more information. So wishing you well. Have a fantastic day. Shavuot and Barach. I'm recording this just after Parashat Shoftim here from the city of Bet Shemesh. I like to go to different places when I record the videos, just in a bagel place at the moment, in Ramat Bet Shemesh Aleph, where I'm recording this. So take care. Thank you for watching and have a great day. Thank you.